Here are the 5 questions every buyer must ask to avoid major financial pitfalls and unnecessary frustrations in their next home purchase. First, what are the ages and condition of the major systems in your home? I was representing a seller who had moved out of the home years and years ago, and no one lived in it for a chunk of time. The seller, as part of the Utah state real estate requirements, is required to give out a seller's disclosures that says if he knows of any issues in the home. He didn't know of any plumbing issues in the home, nor was he aware of anything. The buyer, during their due diligence period, has an opportunity to do an inspection of the sewer line. They chose not to do an inspection of the sewer line because the home had been vacant for several years and not utilized on a regular basis. The buyer was kind of rolling the dice on the condition of the sewer line. Sewer lines that have been in the ground for 50, 60, 70 years. They can get tree roots that grow into them and start to break apart the sewer line. They chose not to do a sewer scope or inspection. We didn't do one as a seller because we knew of no issues with that. When the buyer purchased the home, after closing, they began to live in the home on a regular basis, use the toilet and the systems, and within a month, I got a call from the agent, fairly panicked. He said, "Your sewer system's backing up and you didn't tell us about it." I said, "We had no idea the sewer system wasn't good or was wrong." Because when we'd been in the house on and off, we'd flush the toilet, we'd use the restroom, no problems. So number one, the new buyer of this home has a sewer system that's backing up into their house. Not a pleasant or delightful experience. Number two, to fix a sewer line from the house to the road is not a cheap fix. We're talking $10,000 to $15,000 starting price to fix that sewer system. If you want to avoid a major financial pitfall in your home purchase, be sure you ask questions geared towards this. What is the age and condition of my sewer line? And if they don't know, which many sellers don't, then make sure you get a sewer scope on it. To make sure you avoid any other financial pitfalls, here are the key things you need to ask. How old is my HVAC system, my AC and furnace? They typically last about 20 to 25 years. If you have a furnace that's on its 23rd year, then you better believe you have a furnace replacement probably within the next 5 to 10 years while you're living in that home. That's an expense you need to plan for, or you work with your agent to get an extended home warranty to cover your system for longer. Another thing you want to make sure you understand is how old or what is the condition of my roof. Did you know that FHA or VA appraisers, if they find a roof that is from street condition, not in a great condition? 2 last questions I always ask with my clients is what is the age of the water heater and what is the condition of the foundation? Are there any issues I should be aware of? You've probably heard horror stories about HOAs. The second question every buyer needs to ask is this home inside of an HOA? What does it cover? How much does it cost? And what are the restrictions that are given to me as a buyer? HOA can be a boon to some people and a bust to others. It's okay to understand what you want and what you need in your next home and in an HOA. Question number 3 is about easements. Easements can be a little bit tricky, and sometimes you don't find out about them until you're under contract and during your due diligence process. And that's okay, but you're going to want to find out and ask preemptively, are there any easements I should be aware of on this property? Let me tell you a story. I have a family that I'm working with to sell the home. I didn't help them buy the home, but they bought this home thinking it was their dream property. We're talking 0.75 acres and enough room to build a big shop or barn on the back side of the property. However, when they bought their home, they did not realize there was a power line easement on the back side of the home where they were not allowed to build a barn underneath or near to that power line. It literally took out almost a 1/4 acre of their lot. So now, only years after they bought their dream home, they're looking to move because they can't build what they thought they could in the backside of their lot. So for this client, what kind of questions should they have asked about the easement? They should have found out, is there an easement below that power line where I cannot build? The other things you should ask for on easements, is there an irrigation line underneath or near to it? Is there a fence easement where I can't build within so many square feet? Another question you should ask is there an easement connected to my fence line? Sometimes they have a 5 to 10 foot easement on either side of your fence. If your yard is only 30 feet wide and you have a 10-foot easement, you can't build much in 10 feet. The fourth question every buyer should ask when they're walking through a home and wanting to make changes or renovations is, how much do these renovations really cost? The fourth thing every buyer should be asking when looking at a home is, how much do renovation projects actually cost? We're talking about flooring, we're talking about kitchen cabinets, countertops, and we're talking about bathrooms and bedrooms and taking down walls. All of these things add up in money, and they always cost more than what you think they're going to cost. Finally, you should ask, is this location really right for you and your family? I had a buyer who loved the part of the city they wanted to move to. It was the perfect neighborhood and the ideal house they wanted to move into. So they bought it, they did some renovation work to it, and they absolutely loved their home, but he hated the commute. That's right. When we bought the home, we talked about the commute time, and he said, no problem, I can take the train, I can drive, it's going to be perfect. But only after 2 years in the house and after missing multiple kids' soccer games and recitals, he realized this wasn't going to be the right fit for him or his family. So they had to move only 2 years after buying the house because the location wasn't quite the right distance from their work. When buying a house based on location, while you want to make sure the neighborhood's great and good, and the schools are good for your kids, you also want to check out the distance to your key activities you engage in. How close is it to friends, family, work, and is the commute a good enough time frame you can do everything you want to empower your lifestyle and living? You now know the 5 things you must do to avoid major money pitfalls when buying your next house. Watch this video here to find out the 5 things you must do to get top dollar when selling your existing home.